And welcome back to Notre Dame Day. I'm Gary Sieber. When you think of Ben Franklin, what do you think of? We probably think of bifocals or libraries, maybe lightning rods, and people usually don't associate him with trying to thwart counterfeiters. But scientists have discovered several unique innovations that Franklin contributed to the money printing process. And joining us to discuss this fascinating research is Khachatur Manukyan, who is Associate Professor of Physics and Astronomy, of all things, at the University of Notre Dame. Khachatur led a team that analyzed a paper money collection belonging to the rare books and special collections of the Hesburgh Library here at Notre Dame. And thanks for talking with us today, Khachatur. You know, this is fascinating to me because I know your principal area of studies, we mentioned, is astronomy. So what led you to do anything that was related to this study of money and Benjamin Franklin's role in it?
First, thank you for inviting.
Sure.
And I'm working at physics department. But we had these two nice things at Notre Dame. So we have a huge collection of, historic money, and also we have these, advanced analytical techniques. So the idea was maybe we combine these things together and see, can we see some secrets that Ben Franklin used to print the money? And he was very well known from printing this colonial money. And the idea was that, okay, let's use and see if he came up with some secrets that we didn't know before.
Did we know that counterfeiting was a problem back then?
Oh, yeah, it was a huge problem. So when he started printing, so very first emission was forged very, in huge quantities. So his goal was to make the money much more, counterfeiting.
To protect the value of the money, right? Because if you could print a lot of it, then it obviously devalues.
And, he started to print. He printed for colonies, and eventually he was also involved in commissioning continental dollars for financing Revolutionary War.
Well, let's divert a little bit there. Yeah. So what kind of money existed at that time? I think, for those of us, we obviously know what dollar bills look like today, and they've been that way for a long time. And then we might have some memory of Confederate money that you'd see circulating at souvenir shops and things. What existed back in the 1780s, 90s?
So that was British pounds, but in each colony they had their own pounds. It was only local circulation. So he printed money for Pennsylvania colony, New Jersey, Delaware, and some others. So eventually every colony have their own money, but during the Revolutionary War they made this continental dollar, which was used for financing war.
So what did Benjamin Franklin do? He was known at the time as one of the most brilliant people in the world. Was just quite a celebrity in places like Europe. What did he do to try to thwart counterfeiters?
So when he started, he was quite young. He wasn't famous at that time. But so he invented new type of paper printing money. So then he used a very interesting inclusions, like small mica crystals inside the paper. Then he used some sort of colored colored threads and then microfibers to differentiate the real money from fake ones.
Did they even know what microfibers were back then?
Oh yeah, so they used. He brought some of the stuff from China.
Wow.
Special. He ordered some from China and he introduced in that.
And mica is a mineral, so if it's embedded in the paper somehow, it would glimmer.
Yes, so I think the intent was to make it really, really robust paper. Eventually, they see that the mica end up on the surface, and then when you tilt the bills, you can see that those bills are shining and they reflecting light. And he used this. That's our opinion. He used this feature to differentiate the real money from fake one. We can't see these crystals inside fake paper, so that's the proof of that.
And how did he communicate to the merchants and things that, hey, do this with your dollar bills to make sure they're not counterfeit?
I think that the job was communicating for the colonial government, so he was commissioned to print the money, and then he issued some sort of, they call it detector bills, which they circulated, and everybody knew that this is the how it should look like and what kind of features it will have.
So a quick aside once again, how many calls do you get about astronomy versus how many calls do you get about Ben Franklin trying to thwart counterfeiters?
Yeah, it's been interesting. So after publishing this work, it was very interesting. I'm getting invitations from various places. like Numismatic Society to give a talk, which is completely different than what we do in our regular time. So it generates interest and some other people contact me emails and then ask about this and then offering to analyze their own collections. So yeah, there is quite a bit interest on this research.
Sure, and tell us a little bit about the techniques that you used. What kinds of scientific apparatuses were used to try to make these discoveries?
So we used in total about 10 techniques. So some of them are very well-known ones. Some of them are very cutting-edge ones. For example, we use Raman spectroscopy. We used a lot X-ray fluorescence method, and then we use state-of-the-art electron microscopy. Then we can go to atomic resolution imaging, and you can identify every single atom and then characterize in that level the materials. So
yeah, it seems like it would be kind of difficult to count all the trillions and billions and quadrillions of atoms that are in the bill. But you're looking for specific things, signatures?
So we looked at signatures, printing inks. We looked all of these inclusions. So we did lots of things, and then we learned how to do this, and then eventually we gathered information. I would like to point out that a very large part of research is done by undergraduate students from Notre Dame, from different majors, physics, finance, art history students. They come, they learn these techniques, and they use these techniques to analyze the materials and the money, and then reflect upon their fundings.
And what student wouldn't want to have that term paper in their resume when they graduate? Yeah. That's fantastic. The students who are involved, are they all science majors? Or are they library science or what?
Different. So we had chemists, we have mostly physicists, and then we have art historians. We have even architecture students, not in this particular project, but our program brings very different groups, from very different places from the campus.
Sure, and you mentioned that this was in the rare books and collections, right? Now, the Hesburgh Library is well known for that. Tell us how you got connected with that particular connection, and did somebody come to you and say, hey, we've got all this money, check it out, or what did you...
So the lab, Nuclear Science Lab, where I work, was famous to doing these types of things, and then when I got there, there were similar projects. But then I looked up all of the holdings that we had, and then I thought that maybe it's worth to look at these interesting collection and then find out what else we can find there. So that was kind of the story.
So does this create a career diversion for you, or are you going to continue?
It's hobby. It's a nice hobby. So it's not our main thing, but it's interesting, and it's mostly for student education.
Well, Khachatur, thank you very much for sharing the story. It's fascinating, and
thank you, Gary.
I would love to come over and see some of the tests being made on
Welcome.
That is fantastic. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us on Notre Dame Day.